Truth Seekers. Welcome back. Zach here. A lot of people are asking for me to respond to the channel RFG Chosen One. About a month ago, I did respond to him. I know that he continues to keep mentioning my name and insulting me in his videos. Honestly, I think in enough time, he'll just let it be and he'll move on. But what I want to do in this video is introduce his viewers to my side of the argument without bashing him. You know, he's criticizing my work and saying it's meaningless, I'm wasting people's time. For any of his viewers that are loyal to him, he's doing them a disservice because we shouldn't be on here competing with each other. We should be on here sharing what we know, what's helpful, so that we can all advance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play RFG's video, and I'm just going to respond as we go. And, you know, this isn't a competition. We're not competing with each other. We're supposed to all be doing our part to make this world a better place. That's what this truth-seeking community is supposed to be about, this truth-spreading community. So with that said, we're going to start RFG's video. It's 9.5 minutes. People, don't freak out when you see YouTube video lengths with the mysterious seconds. Like, some people are probably looking at this and going, oh my God, 9:33. You know, whenever I record my videos, I never have a timer going. And every time my video ends on one of those numbers, like 33, there's 5 or 6 or 10 comments about, I see through you with the 33-second ending. You know, these numbers can naturally fall. Don't use them always right away to label somebody. So I just want to start with that point, you know. We can learn a lot by using the numbers, but we can't use them for everything. So that said, let's jump into the RFG video.
What's good? It's RFG back at it today, and I'm going to make this very short and to the point, okay? I'm going to go ahead and do the Super Bowl 51 video. It's going to come out August 13th, and I'm going to wait and see what happens after the Olympics to let you know if it's going to play out or not. Now, here's the thing. There's so many people who are following my sports predictions right now. If I give out this Super Bowl information for free, and everybody goes down and bets at these casinos, or they bet online at these casinos, and they win, they're gonna shut my account down. They might even shut the account down before the football season even starts, because like I said, I have never felt more confident about two of my Super Bowl picks, you know, the two teams that are going to be in there. So I'm going to have to charge $10 for each video that is viewed of my Super Bowl 51 prediction. Okay? Now, you can yell, you can curse, you can scream, you can call me a con artist, all the fuck you want. I really don't care, okay? Because other people out there are going to give you false info off of gematria bullshit, but they're forgetting about two other factors that they never want to talk about. And like I said, my two picks for the Super Bowl are made up. It's set in stone. It's destiny. If nothing too bad happens at the Olympics, okay, if they still let the Super Bowl be played out, my picks are 100% accurate.
Okay, so I'm going to pause right there and respond to two key points he's made. He's concerned that his channel is going to get shut down because he's putting out correct sports predictions. I don't mean to crush RFG, and I don't have definitive proof that he did take my picks, but his Super Bowl prediction was made the exact same as mine after I'd already written about it on my blog numerous times, something I was tracking, Broncos and Panthers. And RFG just does follow my blog. He's lately been trolling there because he's angry. And I wish he'd stop doing that because he's just making himself look bad. But anyway, RFG's last two picks that have been correct, Broncos over Panthers and Cavs over Warriors, are both picks that I made before him and which are documented well on my blog and this video channel. All of his other sports picks have been incorrect. And here's the point I want to make. In the time I've been doing this, this is just the short list of my correct predictions. I predicted that Seattle would defeat the Broncos in Super Bowl 48. I only made that prediction before the Super Bowl once it was set. I didn't make it way down the road, but I showed why Seattle would defeat the Broncos, the predictive programming. Super Bowl 49, I said why I thought the Pats would defeat the Seahawks. I was more torn on that pick, but I did go with Pats over Seahawks. Got that right. Channel didn't get shut down. In 2015, after the February 26th regular season game, this is 2 NBA seasons ago, February 26, 2015, I predicted the NBA Finals would be Warriors and Cavs. I made that prediction based on Nate Thurmond, in part, the basketball player who had the number 42, retired with the Cavs and Warriors. LeBron James ended up scoring 42 points, his season high that game. The name LeBron James equals 42, NBA Finals equals 42, plus more. You can go back and watch these videos. I said the NBA Finals would be Cavs and Warriors after that game. I talked about the significance of certain numbers. Those numbers showed up all throughout the NBA Finals. My channel didn't get shut down for that either. That said, what I did get backwards in that pick is I thought the Cavs would beat the Warriors in the finals. The Warriors won. This year, this NBA season, the one that followed, the one that just concluded, I said in November, it will be a rematch of last year's NBA Finals. The Cavs will win this year. Got that pick right. The channel didn't get shut down. Prior to that, last baseball season, I predicted in spring training that the Mets would be in the World Series. They made it. Before Game 3, I called the final score of 9-3. Have you ever heard anyone call a baseball score right? 9-3, that's a pretty bizarre baseball score too. And, part of what he just said in his opening commentary, RFG, is that gematria is bullshit. The only reason I'm making these predictions is understanding this language of gematria. So, I called those things. I called the Triple Crown last year. I was starting to follow that pattern a year earlier, saying why the Triple Crown would likely happen the next year, then a lot lined up. That said, this year I thought the Triple Crown would happen as well. It fell short. However, where it fell short, because I understand gematria, I was able to show why the horse that did win won, with a very clear presentation paralleling it to the year before. Gematria makes things very clear, and I'm able to account for my mistakes when they happen. That's why so many people are learning from my channel, applying these skills, and making money in Vegas and elsewhere, just applying the knowledge themselves. And I've done this all for free. I don't want people to have to pay for this. Money's part of what controls us. I'm trying to do something that's bigger than money, something that frees us. This year I guaranteed Alabama would win the college championship over Clemson. I don't use that word very often. I guaranteed it would happen. It happened. I showed why. I showed the parallels between that game and the upcoming Super Bowl and why the Broncos would defeat the Panthers. Notice 2 Carolina teams lost in the college football championship and the NFL Super Bowl. I predicted this year when the World Series was going on that Coastal Carolina would take it, all from gematria. So many independent games too. I've done so many videos where I said, look for this to happen. This year I said that the Philadelphia would get their first win at the beginning of the NBA season over Lakers and Kobe Bryant from Philadelphia. There's just so many things I've called that have happened. I probably have over 100 sports predictions correct on this YouTube channel, plus my blog even more. And I have missed, I've been wrong on things, but where I miss, I never miss wide. What my research is part of an ongoing project. I always say it's not complete. We understand a lot, but there's a lot more to get to. And once we understand those things we don't know now, we'll be even more accurate. And we're already really accurate. I would wager to say that in the time I've been doing this work, nobody has a better record predicting sports anywhere that you can go and prove it in the world. My work is backed up online, on my blog, on YouTube, Other things I've predicted. I predicted that Prince would die earlier this year after the death of Vanity. I talked about look for 67 when he dies. He died 67 days after Vanity. Blood sacrifice equals 67. A lot of celebrities die by this number. In 2014, I talked about the significance of 74, why Muhammad Ali might pass at age 74, wrote about it on my blog. I think I even talked about it in the video where I said, what's that Russian's name? Golovkin. I think in that same video where I talked about why Golovkin would win his fight, which he did in NYC, I think I talked about Muhammad Ali's death at 74 in that video as well. But I talk about topics a lot. I say why. The name Muhammad equals 74. He ended up dying on 6/3. The Prophet Muhammad in the Quran died at age 63. For RFG to be aware of my work and then tell his subscribers that it's bullshit, it's really an impossible opinion to have. So, those are the two things I want to comment on. We're going to continue with the video, but the 2 points I'm addressing is gematria is not bullshit. There's a lot of reason to take the time to learn this language. It's way bigger than sports. It's about understanding what's going on in this world. And you don't need to worry about them taking down your channel because you're getting picks right. I've been flagged wrongly before. We could get flagged. They're not going to take down our channels for getting sports picks right. Nobody's even paying attention, The average grown man can't even accept that sports are rigged, no matter how much you put it in their face. All right, let's continue.
And if you guys want to know who's going to be in the 51 Super Bowl, and you want to place a bet and make $500, if you want to make $1,000, if you want to make $5,000, $10,000, even $30,000. This is how much money that you can make if you place two bets down on the two teams that I tell you are going to be in the Super Bowl. You can make a lot of money off of this, okay? And what I want people to do is, if they do let this Super Bowl be played out, I want us all to bet money at the casinos and milk their asses, and milk them and make the Zionist Jews fall at their own game. You see what I'm saying?
I just want to pause right there too. What RFG apparently doesn't understand is the Zionist Jews run a Ponzi scheme central banking system that is based on our faith in the currency. There is nothing behind our currency. What's going on in the world is the printing of more and more money with nothing behind it. And the system goes on our faith and our energy being put into it. So as long as we're working, paying taxes, consuming, the system goes on. It's a control system. It's not based on gold bars anymore. It's based on belief and participation. And my work is about removing myself from the system and encouraging other people, because the only way to take down this system is to stop participating in it, to stop giving our energy to it. And when we get emotionally invested in these sports and we start gambling, we participate in the system. And in that breath, I will admit that I'm a hypocrite sometimes.
And start a revolution in itself by making the casino system collapse, to make sports betting completely collapse.
So really, there can be no revolution this way. It's not going to collapse. They'll just print more money,
It's all fixed anyway, okay? So I'm charging a $10 fee through Selfie for my Super Bowl 51 prediction, okay? Because it's 100% accurate. And when you go to place your bet at the casinos,
when somebody tells you that a projection for who's going to be in the Super Bowl before the season begins is 100% accurate, you better question them at least a little bit. 100% accurate. His track record is he's missed on every single pick until these last two, and I know he made them after I made those picks, and I know he follows my work. You know what I mean?
You're going to get your money back, whether it's $500, whether it's $5,000, or whether it's $10,000. So you're paying $10 to get back $500, to get back $1,000, to get back $10,000 or $20,000. Only $10. That's how much it's going to cost to watch my Selfie video of the Super Bowl 51.
And I just got to say, I put out my picks in February of this year, right after Super Bowl 50 concluded. And people who took that knowledge and bet then on the teams that I talked about got odds that are better than today. RFG, if you really want to help people make money, you got to get these picks out way sooner.
Decoded video, okay? It's going to give you a complete NFC playoff bracket. I'm going to give you the two top teams in the AFC, and I'm going to tell you the two teams that are going to make it to the Super Bowl and what's going to be the outcome, okay? So, like I said, the Super Bowl 51 video will be dropping August 13th. It's going to be dropping August 13th. And you're gonna have to pay $10 to see it. And it is a guaranteed, like I said, it's set in stone, it's guaranteed. I really don't understand why people would have a problem paying $10 to make 500, to make 1,000, to make 20,000, 30,000. You see what I'm saying? My picks are 100% accurate. My track record speaks for itself. And I just don't see what the problem is if I charge $10 for this information. Because like I said, if they let this Super Bowl play out, we'll find out after the Olympics. If the Olympics, even if something does happen at the Olympics, if Obama does not declare national martial law, they're still going to have a Super Bowl. Let me repeat. Something can happen at the Olympics. ISIS can attack the Olympics, but Obama still doesn't have to declare national martial law. If that's the case, Super Bowl 51 is going to play out. And like I said, if it plays out, we will know about a week after they start. Okay, so a week after it starts on.
I just want to point out that right now in his presentation, he's even saying that maybe the Super Bowl won't happen. He has 100% certain picks, but is also saying maybe the Super Bowl won't happen. And RFG is one of these people who's routinely telling his viewers that, martial law is imminent, the FEMA camps are imminent, prepare, get your survival gear ready. He takes the Alex Jones approach. And RFG is younger, so I don't blame him. He's at that age where he's waking up. He has a lot of knowledge for being a young man. But he's really been taken over by a lot of the fearmongers out there, such as Alex Jones, and it comes through in his presentation. And like Alex Jones, he tries to sell gear, merchandise, promoting his message. And I'm not, if you want to make your living this way, I'm not going to speak against it.
13th, I'll be dropping my Super Bowl 51 prediction, and I will be charging $10 for each video viewed.
You know what's interesting about the date that he's bringing it out? I don't know why he's doing August 13th. Sometimes I wonder if RFG has somebody behind him, telling him what to do. I'm curious about that. What's interesting about the date August 13th is it's a date with 57 numerology, and if you follow my channel, you know that 57 is the number connected to Super Bowl. When you write out 57, it sums to the same thing as championship, which sums to the same thing as Super Bowl. World Series in Gematria equals 57. After this past World Series, Dave Henderson dropped dead 57 days after the World Series. At age 57, the name Henderson equals 57. On my channel, you learn about more than just the sports predictions. You learn about what's going on in the world behind the scenes, including celebrity sacrifice. Things people need to know about so they can understand more and more reasons not to give their energy to these leagues.
On the internet, okay? So just stay tuned, people. Be on the lookout for that. And I really don't understand why people would get upset. You know what I'm saying? Or get angry because my track record speaks for itself. And like I said,
he just said his track record speaks for itself. RFG, you can't say things like that when your track record is what it is. You've missed on so many picks. You even give yourself credit for picking a Super Bowl right where you picked it in a different year and then it transpired in another year. You got to earn the resume before you can say, check my track record. All I know about his track record is his last two picks are good, and he followed my lead on those picks.
Off of this prediction alone, we can cause the casinos and the whole sports betting system to collapse, to completely collapse.
And does he even really want that? Because he's trying to make money off this system,
Like I said, somebody inboxed me Zachary Hubbard's Super Bowl pick. He got one of the teams wrong already, okay?
So he thinks one of them's right, and because he's been trolling my blog, I'll show you which one he thinks is right. The thing is, on my blog, I've let it be known what other teams to keep an eye on in the NFC, and I have a feeling I know exactly what team he picked in the NFC if he didn't go with my pick, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Just to let you know. So like I said, if you want to find out the truth, you better tune in and subscribe to RFG Chosen One's channel so you can get this Super Bowl 51 pick right, and you can get your sports bet right, and you can milk them for the money, and you can purchase survival material for you and your family before fucking martial law hits. Because I told you, one of your two last Super Bowls will be Super Bowl 50 or Super Bowl 51. One of those two is going to be your last Super Bowl. And if we put the proper bets in for Super Bowl 51, we can milk these fucking casinos for hundreds of thousands, even millions of fucking dollars. And we...
So I want to bring up something interesting about how him predicting that Super Bowl 50 or 51 might be the last Super Bowl. Something I've been writing about since the year 2013 is how in the movie Oblivion, it's hinted that the Super Bowl that happens in 2017 is the last Super Bowl ever played. And sometimes in movies, we're given predictive programming that comes true. So, RFG, again, is someone who's been following my work, and I see a lot of my work in his message. He also has a lot of independent knowledge. I wonder where he gets a lot of what he knows from, for being as young as he is. But anyway, RFG should not be competing with me. He should be working side by side. I know he studies my work, so I don't know why he has to be so dismissive of it. It's suspicious.
Spend that money on survival resources that we need, people. We can beat the Zionist Jews at their own game. I'm telling you, it's not a joke, people. It's not a joke. So, like I said, either you're in or you're out. You can call me a con artist. You can say I'm trying to milk the people all you want. But like I said, at this point, I really don't give a fuck. I can go into any one of your houses and see a Gucci Mane CD, see a Chief Keef Trinidad James fucking 2 Chainz CD. I can go see some Michael Jordan shoes with some fucking Gucci and Prada belts. A whole bunch of merchandise from people who don't give a fuck about melanated people in this world. But you.
When RFG does that, talks about melanated people, darker skin, he puts himself in a group. And that's part of the way we've been conquered. Put into groups, taught to think we're better than this group. I don't like that group. This is part of the thing we need to get over. We need to overcome money. We need to overcome groups. RFG for a while was trolling my blog and making it all about race. It was really disappointing. And what RFG should know is I'm about 10 years older than him. Since the time I've been 22, I've been working with kids. Well, the last 3 years, I've quit what I was doing, and I've been, putting out all this free information on the blog, on the YouTube channel, and living meagerly, living off small income, some savings. I used to work with kids that would be RFG's age right now, So when I talk to RFG, I feel like I'm working with a kid that I used to work with a decade ago, I really just want to help RFG out. I see him as younger than me. When I was his age, I wasn't as mature. I didn't have the perspective. I didn't have the experience, the knowledge. In 10 years, RFG will be much further ahead than he is now. But anyway, when I see RFG, he just reminds me of a former student, type of kids I used to work with. So that's why I don't get too mad at RFG.
Blindly spend your money on that bullshit, but then you want to question somebody who gave out free life-changing information on his YouTube channel for over a year.
See, he doesn't want people to do that to him, but then he'll go out and do it to somebody else. I've been putting out free information for 3 years, I could have been off working a job that paid well. But it's not about money. It's about putting in the time, doing the work, doing the right thing, doing it for the right reasons, having integrity. So if RFG can appreciate that, he should think about it when he interacts with other people. This is someone who's gone out of his way to attack me only because all I ever said about him is that I didn't appreciate that he was crediting research that he clearly got from me to another channel that was trying to discredit me. A suspicious move. That's all I ever said about RFG. It sent him off on a tirade where he made a video, calling me a homosexual and all this other nonsense.
See what I'm saying? That's the kind of fuckery. That's the kind of fuckery and bullshit I have to deal with on a daily basis. You see what I'm saying? And who said?
And you guys, being trolled by hundreds of people every day, which is what it's like when you make these videos, it does get aggravating. So I feel his frustration.
That I was using the revenue, that I was pocketing the revenue anyway. Who in the hell said that revenue wasn't going to the RFG movement?
That was a little suspicious, though. He had to think about where his money was supposedly going. RFG, I hope you're here for the right reasons, buddy.
Like I said, man, certain people are just lost, and they're going to stay lost. They're going to stay lost, okay? They're not going to rise up. They're not going to wise up, so they're not going to rise up. Like I said, the Super Bowl 51 video of mine that you view on August 13th, you're going to have to pay $10 to see it, but when you go to the casinos and bet for those teams, you're going to have guaranteed income, guaranteed money. That's how confident I am about the pick. My track record speaks for itself. So like I said, either you're in or you're out, period. So that's about it. Like I said, my Super Bowl 51 video will be dropping August 13th. Be on the lookout, man. It'll be $10 on sellfy.com, man. I appreciate everybody who supported RFG movement, Atlantean movement. Like, subscribe, share this video. It's the Chosen One, man. I'm out.
All right, so there he was. Now, unfortunately, he's not only making videos and mentioning my name and dismissing my work, but he's coming to my blog and just leaving comments like this. This is from the 4th of July. I see you still haven't learned your lesson, Zach. Still fucking with gematria, LOL. This is him writing. Please wake the fuck up. I repeat, please wake the fuck up. The fluoride got you tripping, bruh. Happy 4th from Hawaii, biatch. And then one of my, followers of the blog, he didn't appreciate his comment. But, you guys should know, I'm from Portland, Oregon. Portland is one of very few cities in the United States of America that doesn't have fluoride in its water. I don't live there anymore. I now live in a place where there's fluoride in the water. But I try to counteract that. So anyway, he's responding to this post right here. And if he's responding to this post, you think he would appreciate this post. Here's what I want you to know if you're one of his subscribers, you don't follow my work, you've never seen this before. He's talking about how the Zionists are running the show. And on my channel, I'm exposing how the Zionists are scripting the show and how they've built this world around us. This post, which he responded to saying gematria is bullshit, as he commented, look at this. Jewish people write the word God G-D. G's the 7th letter, D's the 4th. That's 7-4, a lot like the 4th of July. Independence Day in gematria equals 74, the date we write 7/4. Holiday equals 74. In the history of the nation, the first Thanksgiving was celebrated by George Washington. It was made an official holiday exactly 74 years later by Abraham Lincoln. Think about Lincoln saying 4-7 years ago. Of course, that's 87 years, but the 4 and 7, these numbers 7 and 4, very important to the Zionists, to the Freemasons. The number 7, the 4th prime number. Masonic and Jewish also sums to 74. On RFG's shirt, the symbol looks a lot like the Masonic compass and square, which concerns me a little bit. English and gematria both sum to 74. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words that he's saying is bullshit. Alphabetic order, which gematria is based on, sums to 74. The man credited with the English language is a music composer named Robert Wilkinson. And there's a lot of parallels between math, music, and gematria. The musical scale, gematria, and so much more, all credited to Pythagoras. The first Thanksgiving, supposedly the settlers left on 9/6, a lot like 96 for Freemason. You can watch my video on the 4th of July. There's a lot of things I talk about, a lot of important information. But when you study this work and what I'm showing, you think it would go right inside with what RFG's preaching. Him and I should be working together, not competing. So, RFG, he should explain to his viewers why that is. I'm sharing a lot of important knowledge that nobody else in the world, sadly, had covered before I came along, When I made this discovery and I put it to the test and I realized it was something real, I wanted to share it with the masses, and that's what I'm doing for free, This is the Masonic compass and square. RFG shirt looks something like this. The symbol, important symbolism to the Masons. G is the 7th letter. Again, 7 is the 4th prime, like 74. This G almost represents 74. G in English gematria sums to 42, just like the word Freemason. Freemason 42. This year, Muhammad Ali died 63 days before the start of the Summer Olympics. Muhammad Ali, the small way, sums to 42. Rio, the big way, sums to 42. Muhammad Ali, the big way, sums to 96. A boxing ring's 96 feet around. He's known for opening the 96 Summer Games. If you count the divisors of 42, it sums to 96. Freemason, the small way, is 42. The big way, 96. RFG, though, just wants to say all this information is bullshit. He could be sharing it with his subscribers. Also in Francis Bacon gematria, G represents 33. Lowercase a through z, 1 through 26. Z, the 26th letter. Uppercase a through z is 27 through 52. In that system, big G, 33. All numbers very important to Freemasonry. So RFG comments earlier this July, yeah, I figured out the Super Bowl winner months ago. Well, he's been following my blog, and I posted what I thought the Super Bowl was going to be in February, and since then I've been documenting other teams. So, for him to come here and write that he figured out months ago, it's like, well, who are you trying to talk to? The people who follow my work know exactly what's going on. Who are you trying to impress? And then he writes, you idiots who think Giants winning are clueless. While you idiots reading this nonsense, RFG be chilling in Hawaii on the beach, yo. RFG is trying to promote, ego. Look at my life. I'm on the beach on vacation. For the record, RFG, I've had money in the past and I've chosen not to travel because I recognize the travel industry. This is how we give our money back to the tyrants who rule over us, One of the main industries that they control, air travel, hotels, this is them. So when you do these things, you're giving your money back to them. And I'm not saying don't travel, I'm not saying don't enjoy life, but to boast about what you're doing in a world where all sorts of people are hurting and wish they could go on those vacations, just makes you look bad. So here's another post. This is from July 15th, I guess that's yesterday. Just got back from my 10-day vacation in Hawaii. Only 3 states have gematria of 33. The 1st, Delaware, the 6th, Massachusetts, and the 50th and final, Hawaii. Your boy's living the life. Yo, if all y'all want the real Super Bowl winner, you can pay $10 to watch it on Cellfly. I promise I'm going to make Zachary Hubbard look like an amateur. I promise you that. T-shirts and hoodies on sale, too. He's writing this on my blog. And really, man, I should delete it just for your own benefit so you're not so, you don't have to look back and shame at this. But the thing is I'm pretty sure RFG's last 2 picks, which are even the reason that he's got the basis to put out a video that's worth $10, I'm pretty sure he got his information from my blog, from my video channel. That's what's so sad. People who take work and then they can't give credit where it's due, and then not only that, then they want to sabotage where they got the information from. RFG is not the only person doing this to me, but I have more respect for RFG than the other channels who are doing this to me. So here's another one. I guess this is today. Yo, your predictions are bullshit. I'm a repeat. Your predictions are bullshit. RFG dropping Super Bowl 51 video August 13th. You hear, Zach? $10 to watch on Cellfly to get the real winner, and next year, not your bullshit garbage version. Man, again, I'm telling you guys, I'm pretty sure he took his picks from me. Hit up a real man for the truth, not a homosexual. And then he has to call me a homosexual again. You know, a second ago I had to stop my video because my girlfriend just came in here. If you guys caught that where the little edit was. She didn't know I was still recording. She thought I was done talking because I was listening to RFG. But who cares? Even if I was a homosexual, I mean, let's just say I was a homosexual and I was putting out all this information, what would it have to do with anything? You know what I mean? RFG promoting all these divisive messages. This is how the Zionists have programmed us to hate each other over race, religion, sexuality, political party. If you want to buy a t-shirt or hoodie, message me on Facebook. Oh, man. So anyway, my Super Bowl prediction is the Colts and the Giants, a repeat of 1958, 1959. Before the Super Bowl transpired, not only did I call Broncos over Panthers, I also predicted that Von Miller would be the MVP. A lot of people won a lot of money on that pick. Von Miller wears the number 58. Freemasonry equals 58. From 1958 to 2016 will be 58 years. Anyway, also for that Super Bowl prediction, I called a Black Panther tribute. I showed the parallels between Huey P. Newton and Cam Newton. Cam Newton became the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. Von Miller, number 58, was the pick right after him in the same draft. Anyhow, the last time Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, it was with the Colts over the Bears, Super Bowl 41, which Prince performed in. The year after Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl, Eli Manning won his first Super Bowl, the surpriser over the Patriots. Giants, Patriots, Eli Manning's first Super Bowl the year after his big brother wins it. And notice Peyton Manning would go on to lose in a Super Bowl against the Saints, who Peyton and Eli's father played for, Archie Manning, the Aints, who never won anything. Think about how the Saints won their first Super Bowl against Archie's son. You know, the work I do isn't about gambling. It's about getting people to understand how these leagues are scripted, our energy's being stolen, our time's being wasted. But if you want to gamble and make money off it, go for it. So anyway, if I'm wrong about the Giants, in one of his comments, RFG says, I'm wrong about the Giants, which means he must agree with the Colts pick. The reason I picked the Colts is because, well, there's a pattern I've been following for seasons going back to 2013. But also, a big reason I picked the Colts is because Andrew Luck, the quarterback of the team, played his high school football in Houston. His father, Oliver Luck, played for the Houston Oilers, the old team that became the Tennessee Titans. Oliver Luck, Andrew Luck, Houston connections. The name Andrew Luck in gematria sums to 112, just like Houston. And this will be Super Bowl 51. It will also be the 47th Super Bowl of the modern era. The name Luck equals 47, the big way. The name Oliver Luck, the small way, also sums to 47. The first Super Bowl was in the 47th season of the NFL. Again, 47-74, very important to the Masons and Zionists. RFG observes this information from me, takes the pick of the information and gives that to his viewers while sharing with them none of the other important knowledge, the knowledge that they can use themselves to empower themselves. See, RFG wants to keep a piece of the knowledge so he can sell it, When you're fighting the truth, I don't think we can afford to hold it back for a little bit of selfish gain, like selling a $10 DVD or a stream, whatever it is. In the history of the Giants and Colts Super Bowls, the Giants had some big games against the Minnesota Vikings. And I made my pick in February for Giants and Vikings. The death of Prince has made me go, well, shoot, maybe it's actually going to be the Vikings in the NFC and not the Giants. I still favor the Giants, but if I was going to bet on another team, I'd bet on the Vikings. Adrian Peterson, their star player, he has connections to Houston. Plus, check this out. The name Peterson has the same gematria as Houston. So does the name Bridgewater, the quarterback of the Vikings. If the Super Bowl was Colts and Vikings, we'd have a white quarterback versus a black quarterback, something we've seen in the ongoing theming. But what sounds wrong to me about that Super Bowl is it's two smaller markets. And usually in a Super Bowl, there's a bigger name competing. New York, Indianapolis sounds more like it. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it'll be. It could end up being Vikings and Colts. But I take all of the evidence and make the most informed opinion I can, such as Eli following Peyton, the 58 connection, this year's Super Bowl being on the 58-year anniversary of the 58 and 59 seasons. What's really interesting, though, about the Vikings is star player Adrian Peterson. His birthday is March 21st, a date that's written 21/3. Black History Month in Gematria equals 213. The Super Bowl will be in February. Black History Month. From the Super Bowl to his birthday is 44 days. And 44 is always a big number around sports championships. In the movie Oblivion, where it projects that the last Super Bowl will be in 2017, Oblivion in Gematria equals 44. I find this interesting, you know? None of this guarantees that any of these teams will be in the Super Bowl, but when you find enough of these patterns and you make enough connections, usually you found the right team for the scripted leagues. Adrian Peterson will be turning 32 years old, 44 days after the Super Bowl. The NFL has 32 teams. NFL equals 32. America equals 32. They call it America's game. The Super Bowl is also on a date with 44 numerology this year. His birthday, 44 days after. When Prince died, remember, Prince is from Minnesota. He died in Minnesota. Prince died on April 21st, 2016, which was a leap year this year. He died on the 112th day of the year, and I documented this the day he died. Again, I predicted that Prince would die. The day he died, I showed his connections to the NBA Finals and the Super Bowl. And game one of the NBA Finals, they came out with the cause of death for Prince. Sadly, this is really what's going on in the world. Sacrifice, murder, fake death, whatever it is, it's all scripted into the greater narrative, including news stories and sports. The day Prince died was a date with 41 numerology. He performed in the Super Bowl 41 halftime, won by the Colts. Another clue for the Colts. I did a video on Jim Irsay buying Prince's guitar a certain span of dates before the start of the Super Bowl. I did the post on the death of the only Colt player to score in the Deflategate game. What's his name? Zerlon Tipton. He died exactly 223 days before the upcoming Super Bowl. Former Colt, the only one to score in the Deflategate game. I bet you the AFC Championship is a repeat of Deflategate. This time the Colts win. Andrew Luck's in his 5th season. In horse racing terms, a Colt lasts for 4 years. Andrew Luck's played 4 years. He's now in his 5th season. He comes in with 55 games started. 55 significant because last year the Broncos were 55 years old. So was John Elway. John Elway lost to the 49ers in Super Bowl 24, 55-10 this past season. As an executive with the team, his team won in the Super Bowl, hosted by San Francisco, with a score of 24-10. They'd lost in Super Bowl 24. 55 Broncos. Andrew Luck playing 55 games coming into his 5th season. This is what else is interesting. John Elway was drafted by the Baltimore Colts. He was traded to the Denver Broncos. He was drafted number 1 by the Baltimore Colts out of Stanford. Andrew Luck was drafted by the Indianapolis Colts, number 1 overall out of Stanford. Being drafted sent Peyton Manning to the Broncos to play for John Elway. You see the triangulation between Luck and Manning? And that's why I give the Eli Manning weight. There was an article written just before the Super Bowl about how Archie Manning, Peyton and Eli's fathers, a special age to witness their sons have success. Won't surprise me one bit should we see Eli Manning's face in the Super Bowl next year. And that said, it won't surprise me one bit either if it's the Vikings instead. This is my 2nd team. And if I have a 3rd team, it's the Green Bay Packers, also in the division of the Vikings. Prince Rogers Nelson reminds a lot of Rodgers, the quarterback in the Packers, and the receiver Jordy Nelson. Green Bay also has a lot of connections to 44, like the Super Bowl. And if I wanted to take a really risky bet, I'd put a little money on the Atlanta Falcons too. They have the 44 connections as well. But I really like Giants, Colts first and foremost, then Colts and Vikings. RFG seems sold on my Colts pick, He's going to offer a different NFC pick, and what I'm interested to see is if he promotes one of the other teams I've mentioned, because I've done a lot of research on my blog. You guys can always come to my blog. Let me show you this real quick. Prince died on the 44th parallel in the 93rd meridian. Minnesota Vikings also has gematria of 93. And last year they went out in a weak way against the playoffs, shanking their field goal on purpose at the end. They could be owed something this year. But anyway, you can come to my blog and you can just search topics, Atlanta Falcons. You can just see what pulls up. And, you know, when you search different ways. You can search Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons. You can search just Falcons. These posts will come up. I have so much work documenting so much stuff on all of these teams. You know, you have to scroll through the posts. They're not always in the most logical order. But tons of information. I have over 10,000 posts on this blog. It's like a 10,000 page book, really, full of almost everything you can think of. RFG, he says he's hinging his pick on what happens in the Olympic Games. They start this year on August 5th, a date written 5/8 in most parts of the world. Freemasonry equals 58. Again, Von Miller, number 58, the MVP last year. Cam Newton, the 58th QB to start in the Super Bowl. Following that 58 theme, I'm looking from 1958 to 2016. 1958, it was Giants over the Colts. Last year after the Hall of Fame game, Hall of Famer for the Giants, Frank Gifford, dropped dead by the numbers. This year, the Houston Texans are hosting Super Bowl 51. Houston Texans equals 51 in gematria. You know, RFG wants to say this is bullshit. It is not. The word conspiracy equals 51. Think about Area 51. San Francisco hosted Super Bowl 50. San Francisco equals 50. They were the 49ers that play in San Francisco that hosted the Super Bowl. Let me just show you this here in numbers. Revelation equals 49, the small way, and 121, the big way. The Super Bowl was played on the 121st meridian, and the winners went to the White House 121 days after the Super Bowl on June 6th, a lot like 66. Revelation's the 66th book of the Bible. As I continue to expose the Masons, the tyrants, they work from the book of prophecy. A lot of their coding comes back to this. And by understanding this knowledge, you can make more accurate predictions. You know, in the last couple days, I haven't seen RFG put out any videos on all of the world events. He's busy telling his viewers that, you know, the end is near, prepare, get your survival gear. But he's not covering these major events, and instead he took the time to put out a promotional video to sell a DVD that's coming out in August. And I'm not putting him down for that. By all means, do that. But, you know, if you're trying to keep people informed and keep them up on world events, there's some important stuff shaking down right now. Here's everything I've put out in the time it's been going on, you know, and it's all from understanding this knowledge. I'm able to put out these really concrete videos that expose a lot, that show what's up in the world. In the description, I'm going to link this video right here. You know, I'd encourage you to go back and watch all these videos. I got a playlist with all of them in it. But I'd encourage you to watch this video right here, Bastille Day Predictive Programming, and also this video I put out about the death of Nate Thurman today, who dropped dead at age 74, somebody who I used his name to predict the NBA Finals last year. And as I continue to say, there's always celebrity sacrifice involved with championships. And RFG, I would encourage you to share these videos on your channel, mirror them, and I guarantee you, you'll build more subscribers and you'll build more respect. Fighting me isn't making you look good. Look in your comment sections. People are criticizing you, telling you they're unsubscribing. There needs to be more people out here fighting for the truth. RFG says enough that's true for me to not totally be against this person. You know, he made this video, show this to Zachary Hubbard. It's embarrassing. You should delete this video. This video is embarrassing for you. This video has more dislikes than likes. And this is also part of what makes me think RFG is not necessarily a part of the shill network. There's something so confusing about this guy. The shill videos, that when they criticize me, they get a ton of likes. And those videos, you know, they're way off point. But here's RFG's video library. You know, back from Vegas, back from his vacation. You know, you're selling your personal life. You know, do what you want to do, I guess. But if you're out here trying to fight the good fight, you shouldn't be dismissing the truth, putting down people who are trying to help out. And again, this guy, Warrior Truth, he's another person who trolls my blog and refs RFG Chosen One. Last year when I was putting out my Super Bowl work, he started trolling me saying I was copying RFG Chosen One when I was like, nope, not copying anyone. I'm putting out unique research, independent, groundbreaking. Well, check this out. This guy trolled my channel for a whole year. Then he put out a video out of nowhere doing my exact presentation with my information but claiming it as his own. And YouTube let his views get this high and let him go from 0 subscribers to 8,000 in about 2 weeks' time during the time of the NBA Finals. The entire time I've been making videos, I've never gotten a video much over 100,000. I only have one video that's eclipsed 100,000. It's like 110,000 or something. You know, think about that. Here's somebody who's trolled my channel, who's been repping RFG Chosen One. He comes out and does my presentation, but in a lot sloppier fashion, gets all these views, all these subscribers. You know, something really doesn't make sense about YouTube. But RFG Chosen One, he doesn't get that kind of recognition, so that's where the confusion is for me, you know? It's hard to see through exactly what's going on. I'm reaching out to RFG as if he's someone who's out here trying to tell the truth and is competing with people needlessly. And in his competition, getting blind of what the truth is and doing an injustice to himself and all of his viewers. What got RFG mad at me in the first place was the fact that I called him out for crediting my work to this channel, Polarization Nation. Last year, Polarization Nation made a video barely introducing gematria and using that knowledge to in part predict that Super Bowl 50 would blow up like in the Batman film, and at the same time a tsunami would wipe out the East Coast. And he guaranteed his viewers that would happen. RFG chose to give credit to that channel for their research while never mentioning my name when it was clear that what he was presenting was from me. Anyway, this Polarization Nation guy has made several videos about me. You know, plagiarist Zachary Hubbard. It's just such a joke. This guy's truly plagiarizing my work and then calling me a plagiarist. And he's taking my work and making it seem ridiculous. To guarantee that the Super Bowl is going to blow up and a tsunami is going to wipe out the East Coast, I don't know how this guy has anybody following him, honestly. You know? Then he had to do a follow-up video. Then he had to put out another video saying gematria is bullshit. And then he ends his video by saying, fuck you to me. It's like, what? Dude, I'm just putting out really helpful information to everyone. This guy's been watching my videos, and instead of giving credit where it's due, he wants to put out nasty comments. And for all of you haters, you know, you'll know your work is really doing something when the mainstream media tries to bash you. Here is USA Today, the big lead, directly attacking me. Conspiracy theorist, you know, they love to label us that way. It's a derogatory name. When people hear it, there's programming that goes with it that means dismiss that person. Conspiracy theorist proves Freemasons rigged AFC, NFC championship game. And then they make it seem like I'm some suspicious character going by this phony name. You know, if you read this post, he goes through my videos. He mocks everything I pick because I'm talking about how the Super Bowl's set up for the Broncos, how Von Miller's going to be the MVP, how there's going to be a Black Panther tribute. He mocks all of that and says I say all this horrible stuff on my blog. Look at how he puts it in his own words. Once you look at all the facts, everything falls into place. Although I do have one beef with Hubbard, well, one beef other than the fact that he believes the Sandy Hook shooting was a hoax and about 47,000 other vile things he has to say on his 2003 style blog. I don't believe the Freemasons are behind all of this. I think once you dig deep enough, you'll see it was the stonecutters. Now remember, 47, very special to Freemasonry, Freemasonry about building. I want to show you this clip of the stonecutters, and I want to leave RFG with this question. Buddy, are you in the stonecutters? Let it load up here a second. Show you what the stonecutters are.
Who controls the British crown? Who keeps the metric system down? We do. We do. Who leaves Atlantis off the maps? Who keeps the Martians under wraps? We do. We do. Who holds back the electric power? of their sight. Who rigged every Oscar night? We do. We do.
So, you know, he closed that out with the 47,000. His name, supposedly, maybe this guy doesn't use his real name. His supposed last name is Phillips. I want to show you something about Phillips and We Do. So we heard that song We Do, Gematria 47. Check out the name Phillips. What do you think it's going to be? Again, the first Super Bowl in the 47th season of the NFL. Here I had exposed the Super Bowl long before it happened, even calling the MVP in the Super Bowl halftime show. And RFG, being aware of all of this, wants to tell his audience that Gematria is bullshit. So, you know, RFG, I hope from here you step it up. I hope you start incorporating Gematria. And I hope you stop selling out your audience just for your own ego for the sake of competition. And for the record, I don't think I'm ever going to respond to another one of my critics. From now on, when I get criticized about why am I not responding to this video saying I'm a shill, I'll just link them to this one. Until next time.